So today we're going to do the handover video on the Laika 4009 DS. We're going to start on the outside and then we're going to move on to the inside. So firstly, coming over to the passenger side and opening up the fill-up points, you've got your diesel fill-up point up at the top with the AdBlue just below that. Opening up the passenger door, on the passenger side you've got your bonnet release catch. I'll show you the bonnet just in a second. On the door sill you can see that you've got your tyre pressures, and then finally on this vehicle you have got Remis cab blinds. You operate this simply by pinching the little plastic piece here to release, and then lead the blind from the bottom like so and connect that up via the magnetic strip to black out the entire cab. You've got blinds on all of your windows at the front, including the big window, as you can see, to stop light from coming in. When you're taking these back in, just be mindful that it can be a bit finicky, so if you lead again from the bottom, as you can see, it'll allow you to connect the piece into place. Coming round to the front of the vehicle, as I say, underneath the bonnet there's not many more things that you need to know. The main things that you need to know is if you're ever jump starting the vehicle. I'll pop the bonnet now and show you how that is done. With the bonnet lifted, you can see that you've got your negative terminal onto here, so this is where you jump start, and just below that, underneath this cap, you've got a plus sign on here which indicates the positive terminal. They're the main things that you need to know, but just to point out a couple more things, you've got your brake disc fluid, which is just up here, your engine coolant, your power steering fluid, and then finally your washer fluid, which is just in here. Moving to the side of the vehicle, you can see that you've got your first hatch here, which gains you access and reveals the double height floor throughout the vehicle, which you can make use of. You have got another access point on the other side to use that. Moving on, you've got your habitation door just here with your step. You've then got your gas barbecue point external to the vehicle. Obviously you'll need your gas on at the bottle to operate that. Above this you've got a fridge vent and one up at the top. Just bear in mind, if it is a summer's day, you've got the sun beating down on this side of the vehicle. This is where the fridge pulls all of its air from. So if it's quite a hot day and the sun is beating on this side of the vehicle, just turn the van around or wind out the awning and keep it under shade. Just bear that in mind, just to allow it to work a little bit more efficiently. Moving towards the back, you can see on this side you have got a big garage door opening, which once open, you can see exposes the garage and gives you the option to put all your kit in here. This is fully heated and insulated, and you can see that you've got your tie down points just on these little hoops here, which will slide on and off the little rails which are fixed in the garage. In the back here you've got your two seats, as you can travel with 4 people in this vehicle, and these slot in to the actual frame of the chassis, and this is where they are stored when not in use. At the back here you can see you've got a vent, as I mentioned. This is heated and this is where the heat pumps out from. You've then got your 230 volt socket, and above that your wastewater drain down point. On this vehicle it's electric. All you need to do is click this button and that will dump your wastewater. Now your drain down points are really important. You have 3 main drain down points. You've got one for your fresh water, one for your wastewater, which is of course here, and then one for your boiler drain down point, which is again on the inside of the vehicle. You can see in the garage you can hold up to 250 kg as indicated, and then in the back here again you've got access to your pump, and in the next one you've got access to a bit more storage within the double height floor. Before moving on from the garage, you can see you've got your awning pole here, which will allow you to wind out the awning, and next to that you've then got a structural slat which will slot into the awning to give it a little bit more rigidity. Moving along the back, you can see you've got your reversing camera up at the top, and moving round you have got of course another access point into your garage. On this side you have a few more holes here that you can use for storage as well. Next, on this side, you can see you've got your fresh water fill up point here. So when you're on site and you need to fill up with water, this is where you do it from, using a food grade hose pipe that can go into here and fill up the tank. When it's overflowing and it's spurting out, you know that you've filled up the tank to full capacity. Next, you've then got your 230 volt mains connection. So when you're on site and you want 230 volt mains, this is where you plug into. And next, you've got your cassette locker. I'll open this up now and this will reveal your cassette toilet. With the locker door open, you can see that it gains you access to your cassette. All you need to do to empty this is simply pull up on the orange handle and slide out. Before doing that, you need to always make sure that the blade on the toilet is closed, because if it is open, what will happen is you'll come to remove this, it'll get stuck and jammed and could potentially break. So always make sure that the blade on the toilet is closed when removing. To remove, as I say, pull up and slide out, like so. Now to empty the cassette, it's dead simple. All you need to do is fold out the little funnel here, undo the cap, and using the orange button on the back, which will release an internal vacuum, all the contents can come out of the nozzle. You'll notice that you have got this lever here which turns. This should always remain in this position. You should never need to turn this. This is what makes contact with the blade. If this is slightly off, it won't slide in correctly, and again it could result in it being damaged. So always make sure it's this way. You should never need to change that. And obviously swill in a bit of water and put your blue sachets in here to clean out the cassette when you're done with it. Slot that back in like so, line it up, and as you can see, that slides in like so and connects into place. Moving on, you can then see that you've got your gas locker here. This houses all your packs, and as you can see, an external shower point fitting. This is where you can connect your pigtail to your gas regulator, which will then connect into your gas bottles. It is worth knowing that in your gas locker you should only ever turn the gas bottles on when stationary, as when you're travelling they should always be turned off for safety measures. Above, you've got your external shower point. This is hot or cold, and that just connects into there. And of course you need your pump on to activate the water to feed through. But obviously I'll show you how to operate that when on the inside of the vehicle. Moving back to the front, you can see that you've got a little vent here that says trim on there. This does get very hot. This is in essence the vehicle's chimney, so bear that in mind. And then finally, opening up this little hatch, you can see it gains you another bit of access to the double height floor, which will go all the way through. You've got a little light in here as well. Moving round to the habitation side, we're now going to go on the inside and show you how everything operates. So moving through the habitation door, you can see that you've got your lounge at the front with your kitchen next to it, and then directly above the habitation door you've got your control panels. So your control panels, really simple and dead easy. You've got your main on and off button here. This is touch sensitive. If you hold this, this will turn and shut down the entire system. To turn on, click, and as you can see the Laika logo comes on and will activate everything eventually. You've then got your light button, which will turn on and off the internal lights. Below that, you've got your pump button, which will turn on and off the pump. When the pump is working, you need to ensure that there is water in the system to ensure that nothing is burnt out. Because if you run the pump without any water, it'll simply burn it out. So ensure there's water in the system when running that. When you have got water in the system, so you're filled up, you need to go to your taps and your shower and turn them on and turn them to hot. What that'll do is it'll pull water from the freshwater tank into the boiler and then out of the tap. It'll spurt and splutter, and then when it's running steadily, you've primed your system for your hot water. Flick it over to the cold and do the exact same. Once it's running steadily, you can leave your pump on because the system's now primed, and your pump will turn off. It'll only activate when you turn on and off the taps because there's a micro switch fitted to each tap, including your shower. The reason I tell you to do it on hot first is because it'll pull it through your boiler system. Your boiler does take a while to heat up that water as it holds 10 litres. So if that's the first thing you do, turn your heating on, which I'll show you in a minute, and pull the water through. It'll heat that water up. It takes about 30 minutes or so, and by the time you come to use the water and you want it hot, it'll be ready for you. Coming back over to the panel below the pump button, you can see got another light. This is for your door lights. This is on the outside of the vehicle. And then below that, you have a little aux button. This will activate anything 12 volts in the van. You've got a lot of 12 volt points in this van where you can charge your phones and things, and that's how you do it there. Next, you've got a few options. You've got your battery level, which if you click that will show you your HAB battery. As you can see, we're plugged in, so we're at 100%, and your vehicle's battery, which is next along. Finally, you've then got your fresh water and your wastewater levels. There's nothing in at the moment. Fresh water is this top one, this first one, and wastewater is this next one here. And then that is it, and that concludes your panel. So it's dead simple and dead easy. So moving over to the control panel for your heating, you can see this is just next to the control panel interface. Hold this on, and this will activate your heating system. So with the heating system on, click and you can see anything below the line is what you want to select. As you can see, using this little dial, the icons flash when hovering over them. Firstly, you've got your vehicle's temperature. You can turn this all the way to 30 degrees should you want. To activate that, simply click the button. Next, you've got your water temperature. You can have this on Eco, Hot or Boost. Eco is approximately 40 degrees. You'll be using that when you're having a shower. Hot is approximately 60 degrees and you'll be using that when you're washing up. And then finally, Boost will concentrate on heating the water solely rather than heating the actual vehicle itself. Next, you've got your fuel. This is really important because this is where you select how you want your heating to be fueled. So you can either run it off gas, which is what you're going to do when you're wild camping. You can run it off mix 1, which is a mixture of gas and 1 kilowatt electric. Mix 2, which is a mixture of gas and 2 kilowatt electric. EL1, which is purely 1 kilowatt electric. And EL2, 2 kilowatt electric. 9 times out of 10 when you're on site you'll be running it off EL2, but if for example you are limited to a certain amount of power, you may have to select a mixture or put it purely on gas rather. Next, you've got the fan option. So at the moment it'll only give me the option of vent, and that will recirculate the air currently in the vehicle as I've not selected a fuel or turned the system on, but in most situations you'll have Eco or Boost, and that will allow you to again concentrate on heating the vehicle rather than the water. So it works vice versa if you do select Boost for the fan. Next, going through the options, you can set a timer should you want to for when the heating comes on. You can change the time as well, and then finally you've got the reset panel. In here, this is your settings. It gives you brightness and language and things. The main thing that you need to know is if you ever need to reset the vehicle. If that's the case, click this button and this will reset the entire thing. It will flicker the screen, it'll initialize, and then you need to wait about 20 minutes for that to completely reset after clicking that button. Now, the reason for why you need to reset it is if you ever get an error code. And you'll get an error code, for example, if you get a... or if you select a fuel that you haven't got. So for example, if you're on site and you've no gas to the vehicle, but you select the fuel gas to run the heating system, you'll get an error code because it's trying to heat the vehicle with something that it hasn't got. So with that in mind, just bear that in mind, and always select something that a fuel that you have got, and always power down the system before removing its fuel. Because again, if you don't, it'll simply get an error code and you'll be having to reset the system. So just bear that in mind. Now moving away from the heating system, you can see you've then got your fridge here and your kitchen. For your kitchen, you've got your hobs, which run off gas, and we've discussed about obviously priming your system for your water. Above that, you have a 230 volt socket, and you can see that you have more storage above, as well as attached to the drop down bed, which I'll show you in a minute. All of your windows have a blackout blind and a fly screen, as you can see, and that goes for the same on the skylights as well. Underneath your hob, you've got an oven and grill, which is handy. And you can see you have a bit of storage as well, which is ideal. A bit of pull-out storage here. And your cutlery drawer. And then a little bit more above as well. Moving over to the fridge. This is a Dometic fridge. And you've got your freezer up at the top and your fridge below. If you're wanting to maintain the temperature, the fridge does a very good job at doing that. So with that in mind, if you want frozen things to be in the freezer, put frozen things in. And if you want cold things to be in the fridge, put cold things in. It does a very good job at maintaining the temperature, but not the best of jobs at getting something down to temperature. So just bear that in mind. Now to operate this, it's dead simple, dead easy. All you need to do is hold the Dometic system and that will turn on the fridge. Click and you can then flick through the options. Firstly, you've got your temperature, so you can change the temperature. You've then got the power, so the way in which you power the fridge, similar to the heating. To select that, you've got the option of auto. Now, I'd always personally recommend having it on auto because that will automatically assign whichever fuel you have to the vehicle. But running through the fuels, you've got your 12-volt leisure battery. It's worth mentioning that this will only work when the vehicle is running. It'll never work the fridge off your 12-volt leisure battery when stationary. So when you're wild camping, you can't run it off 12-volt as it'll simply drain the vehicle while it's power. As this vehicle has a built-in alternator, when the vehicle is running, that will send power to the leisure battery, which will ultimately power the fridge. Next, you've got the option of gas. So when you're wild camping, that's when you'll have it on gas. And then finally, you've got your 230-volt mains, which is indicated by a little plug here. 9 times out of 10, when you're on site, you'll run it off this. But as I say, keep it on auto and it'll automatically assign whichever fuel you've got. Click again to select. Next, you can then recirculate the air. This is currently on a mute system, so if you're using the fridge at night and operating it, it doesn't make a sound. And you can change the various settings within that. To turn it off, all you need to do is hold, and as you hear by the little beep, it turns the system off. Above the fridge, you can see that you have got your point for your solar panel regulator, and within this, if you ever have motorhome Wi-Fi or an aerial system, this is where it will drop into, and this will be where you can control it from. Below the fridge, you can see you've a bit more storage, which is a slide out drawer there, again, nice and handy. Before moving into the back, you can see you've got your drop down bed directly above your lounge. To operate this will run off your 12-volt system. You need to pull, you need to obviously make sure that the area is clear, and then push the button. This will then allow the bed to drop into place, and this will stop automatically, so don't worry about stopping it at a level. It will stop automatically. You can see you've got a large bed here, and all your bedding can remain on this. We just say with your pillows, stick them at the front, but everything else can stay on. Your ladders are of course on the bed as well to allow you up, and then you can take the bed up like so. You have got netting as well, as you can see on the little clips, which will allow you to use the bed without falling out, which is handy. It doesn't always helps. And then you can see you've got your lounge back. Attached to the bed are some cupboards. You've got the same again on this side. Now moving back into the lounge, as you can see, I've just removed the cushions just to show you where your fuse box is. Fuse is directly underneath your bench seats here. You can see that your fuses are straight here, and then your CBE system is just across from here, which operates your e-box and also your leisure battery. You can see, as I mentioned, you have got point for a seat belt here, which buckles in, and this is where the seat will connect. As I mentioned, this connects straight into the chassis using these two holes here, and then you'll have a little nut which will tighten it into place. I'll show you in a minute how that looks and how that operates. Dead simple, dead easy. I'll show you, as I say, just in a second. Before I do, moving to the front, you can see if you was to remove this flap and push it back, This will allow you access for your feet to sit when travelling. And underneath here you've got a red key, which is a restart system which will turn on and off power. It's basically a shutdown system when in hibernation mode or when you're not using the vehicle. And then above this, just opening this up, you can see there's a little Laika sticker which just indicate the vehicle's weights. Underneath the next bench seat, you can see it gains you access to the vehicle's boiler. This is the Truma system and is a Truma boiler, as you can see. Now it looks very complicated, but the only thing that you need to know is where to drain down the boiler from, which as you can see is this black little tap here. Now this brings us on to your drain down points. It's very important that the vehicle is always drained down, and that goes for your fresh water, your wastewater, and also your boiler drain down point. But I'd always emphasise to drain down this system when never in use. Make sure of that, because if you don't, you could potentially run the risk of the system freezing. Now the great thing with this vehicle is this has got a frost protection valve on, which is this black valve here, and all you need to do is to shut it, is to turn the diamond and to push the blue little tab in, which will pop in like so. Now for example, this is a fail safe, so what may happen is if it gets to a certain temperature, this blue button will ping out and this will turn. This will empty the entire frost protection boiler system if you ever forget to, for example, drain the water. Now when in use, don't worry about that obviously pinging out, because it'll only freeze or if you're freezing, so you need to make sure that you're running your heating system, which if you are using the vehicle in them types of weather conditions, you of course are going to have that drained. But as you can see, that will simply just drain the system. To close it, simply turn and push that blue button in. Now, what may happen is you may get on site and you may, especially if you've not used the vehicle in a while, or if you're using it on a day like today, which is extremely cold, you'll go to turn this switch here, and then you'll go to push this blue tab in. And it's actually doing it now. You can see I'm going to push this blue tab in and it's simply pinging out. The reason being is this black valve actually reacts to temperature. And the reason it doesn't allow you to push that blue button in is it thinks it's too cold, so it's scared that the boiler, when you put water in it, is going to freeze. Now with that in mind, if this happens, all you need to do is go to your heating system, as I showed you before, and turn your heating on. This will heat this system up. After about 30 minutes, you'll be able to then push this button in. Now don't worry, you can run the heating system without any water in. But as I say, you'll just need to heat that up before you can push that in. And then once you've done that, you're good to go. Whilst we're on the topic of your drain down points, and this goes for all your drain down points, when you're on site, you'll have a big grid that you can drain the majority of the vehicle's water out, so you can drain everything down. And then what we recommend is leaving all your drain down points open when you've drained the majority of the water out, because as you're travelling home, the vibrations of the road will get all the residual water out of the system to again stop the vehicle from freezing. Now, before we move on from the lounge, as I mentioned, to set up the seating system, you can see that you've got your back plates here, which I'll show you how this connects in now. So as you can see, just set this up now. So the backrest has just connected into these back positions here, and using the cushions, this creates the backrest, and this is your seat base here. So you can simply sit into position and face forward. Using the seat belt, this will then pull across and connect into the buckle, which is just below there. Now, as I mentioned, in the floor, you have a double height floor throughout. It's the reason why the floor is one level, which is brilliant for insulation, but you also gain your storage, and you can access that on the inside. Underneath here is where your leisure battery is stored. You've got space for a little bit more there as well. Coming round into the bathroom area, you can see that you've got a door here that pulls across for privacy, dividing the front section to the rear section. We've discussed about, obviously, priming your system for your shower, so there's no need to go over that. But as you can see, in the back here, you've got your sink, along with your flush button here, and your toilet. Now the blade that I kept on mentioning on the outside of the vehicle is this piece of plastic here. At the moment it's closed, push that away from you and that opens. So when in use, what you need to do is push that away, opening the cassette so all the waste can drop into the cassette toilet. Once you've done that, click your blue button, that will activate the flush and empty and flush out the toilet system, flushing it to the cassette. Once you've done that, you need to then pull the blade back, closing the cassette. You close the cassette when you're done with it for two reasons. The main reason being is it stops odours from escaping, and the second reason is it will ensure that you never run the risk of leaving that open, so when you come to empty the cassette, it never gets stuck. So it just gets you in the habit, but always keep that closed when not in use. You've got another heating vent here as well, as you can see. A bit of storage as well, which is here, along with a trip box. So if the vehicle ever trips, it's just in the bathroom area. In the back, you've got your two single beds which are raised to allow for your garage underneath. You can see that you've of course got some storage here, along with a bit of sliding out storage as well. Clicking these in, it will allow you to take the lower step in to gain you access to the cupboard drawers, which I'll do now. With this left in, you can see it will gain you access to your cupboards, which just slide out like so. In this next one, you've also got a bit of hanging space as well. Moving to the floor, this leads me on to the final bit of the video, which is your final drain down point for your fresh water tank. We've been through the wastewater, which is at the back of the vehicle in the garage, the boiler drain down point as we discussed in the lounge. Finally, your fresh water is just located underneath this little slide out here on this little valve. This fresh water tank will hold about 120 litres. To open it, all you need to do, turn it like so. You may have heard that then there was a click, and that will empty the system. And to close it, all you need to do, simply turn the valve like so until it tightens, and that will close the system. When you are travelling, you can, if you want, drain the system down to 20 litres as a quick drain down point, and you do that by just draining it down up until the lug. But then if you want to drain the entire thing down, keep turning the valve to empty the entire system out. Slotting that back into place, you have got another point here as well which lifts up, but this is simply for the cap for your wastewater tank, which is just here. As I say, this is all electric, so there's no need to get into there really. That's mainly for the technicians when working on your vehicle. So that concludes the handover video on the 4009 DS. I hope you enjoyed.